Yo, man, back. I know I usually like to hit you with the what up, doe, but you know, I ain't from the D. I'm from the FLINT, so that ain't really something that we say. And then I was just kind of listening to myself, and I'm like, yo, better, because yo means a lot in a lot of different ways to me. But anyway, how's everybody going on this Tuesday? Welcome back to the Mortgage Mayhem podcast, the show where money, markets, and mayhem collide. I'm your humble host, G Smalley, G Money. To those who know, and today's episode is a full course meal with no leftovers. We've got politics, economics, culture, and just straight up game for you real estate investors, both new and seasons. And yes, our deep dive on Gelt Financial is coming up. So let's get into it, folks. A little house cleaning before we get started.
Welcome to the Mortgage Mayhem podcast, where the mortgage game meets real life, real talk, and a whole lot of chaos. We break down the deals, the drama, and the data behind the scenes of real estate finance, with a twist of street smarts, savvy, and a touch of madness. Before we dive in, here's the deal. The Mortgage Mayhem podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not attorneys, CPAs, or licensed financial advisors, and nothing you hear on this show should be taken as legal, financial, or investment advice. Always consult a licensed professional before making financial decisions. Welcome to the Mortgage Mayhem podcast, where the mortgage game meets real.
All right, sorry about that. It kind of did an overlap. But let's get into it, folks. Like I said, I hope everybody's having a great day. We got off to a very, very late start. For some reason, I know I had to go back and forth with the company who we do business with because it wasn't allowing me to do some of the things that I need to do in the back of the house. Excuse me, my glasses look like they're a little crooked. But anyway, so yeah, I had to kind of go back and forth with them, get some things squared away, but we're here now. So let's jump into it. First thing on the mark today, we're going to talk about by 2030, around 45% of women aged 25 to 44 are expected to be single and child-free, according to a new study. It's kind of crazy, but nearly half of the women ages 25 to 44 expect to be single and childless by 2030. Recent projections from Morgan Stanley suggested that by 2030, about 45% of women between 25 and 44 years old in the United States will both be single and without children. This trend has been steadily rising up from 41% in 2018 and expected to grow by 1.2% annually, outpacing the overall population growth rate. One of the major reasons behind this shift is that many women are prioritizing their careers during what's often considered their prime working years. This lifestyle change is being supported by evolving cultural norms, increased access to education, opportunities for economic independence. Economists like Ellen Zettner notes that the shift may actually benefit the labor market as more women are able to work full-time and contribute to the economy. Single women are also known to spend more on travel, entertainment, personal care, and retail, which boosts consumer markets. However, there are growing concerns about the broader social implication of these lifestyle changes. Lower birth rates could accelerate demographic challenges like population decline and aging workforces. Additionally, some studies suggest that unmarried, child-free women may face increased mental health challenges related to loneliness, lack of social support, or identity. Ultimately, while this trend reflects greater freedom and autonomy for women, it also raises important questions about the future of family life, societal structure, and long-term well-being. All right, so what do I think about this? You know, why are they single? I mean, and child free? Is it I hear what they're saying, but is it more so because us men aren't doing what we're supposed to be doing to lock these ladies down who out here doing a big one? We don't have what it takes to you know turn these women into honest women. As men, it has to be a lot of that because women are to the point now where they're fed up with the BS. It's tons of men out here that I know can be approaching these single women, and trying to establish something with them where they can actually create families and, ride off into the sun. I think a big part of it is the lack of what men are bringing to the table to lock these women down and to build generational wealth with these women. I mean, it may have a little bit to do with the things that they mentioned, lifestyle changes, cultural norms, increased access to education, opportunities for economic independence. I hear all of that. But at the end of the day, those things have been in play. Women have had access to all of these things, for decades now. I just think us men we're not doing the things that we need to do to put these ladies in a situation where they can, all the way into their 40s, they're single, without child. What are we doing? And it's 25 to 44, and it's about 45% of women between that age will be both. That's almost close to half of the women, guys. Come on, this is crazy. 25 and 44. That's that. What Generation Z or Generation Z slash Millennium? Man, you guys got to do. We got to do a better job at getting back to being gentlemen, getting back to really taking these women seriously, all these game plan, all this, all this crazy stuff that, at one point in time, us even, men of my ilk, we did some of the same things, but at the end of the day, we ain't never had no problems with, wifing or, getting with women and actually trying to have something that's meaningful and that could potentially last. But now you got almost half the women out here single. This is crazy. And then I just think a lot of it has to do with our communication, our lack of communication, the access that we have. We got so many options. Then you got the internet, you got social media. You see all these beautiful women, and in your mind, you're thinking, man, I want this kind or that kind, instead of just staying in your league, finding someone that you're compatible with, and working with them on building something that could potentially be promising. Because I promise you, at the end of it all, you're gonna wish that you had somebody next to you that's going to be able to kind of rock with you through the hard times. Trust you me, it don't get no easier. And as you get older, as men and women, you do get lonely. You do want somebody there with you that to have experiences with, travel with, have fun with, all those things. All that player stuff goes straight out the window once you get a half 100, or in that range, and you look around and you have nobody. It's not a pretty thing. So, guys, I don't know how we can lessen this gap, because in 2018 it was 41% and now it's 45%. Man, that's crazy work. So I'll keep an eye on that. I like to bring this kind of stuff up just so we can have some dialogue And as men, I want to just kind of touch on it because, I want our men to be out here, you know, getting with the women who they can have synergy with, who they can, potentially grow with and have a life worth living for. You know what I'm saying? So men, get it together. It's you got half of the population of women out here single. That's ridiculous. And you talking about in the prime time of 25 to 44, that's prime time. It's a whole bunch of baddies up in that group from 25 to 44. So there's really no excuses, to be honest with you. I mean, I see them. You see them everywhere. Gym, church, wherever you look, it's just baddies everywhere, and they're single. You don't have no seeds. You ain't leaving behind no legacies, guys. Come on, man. We got to do better. But anyway, let's keep it moving. All right. So ChatGPT service to the U.S. government for only $1 in a dire attempt to join forces. The best way to make sure AI works for everyone is to put it in the hands of people serving the country. Okay? Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, the best way to make sure AI works for everyone is to put it in the hands of the people serving the country. The mega tech company OpenAI has announced they are offering their ChatGPT service to the U.S. government for the low price of $1 a year. In a statement put out by the company, OpenAI says they are partnering with the U.S. General Services Administration to launch an initiative that will create space where the U.S. government uses AI to better service Americans. With such a low price, OpenAI hopes to deepen its ties with lawmakers and regulators. One of the best ways to make sure AI works for everyone is to put it in the hands of the people serving the country. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said in a statement, "We're proud to partner with the General Service Administration, delivering on President Trump's AI action plan to make ChatGPT available across the federal government, helping public servants deliver for the American people who continue." Other AI companies like Google Gemini and Anthropic also plan to sell their services to the government for a low price through the initiative with GSA. It would definitely be interesting to see how governments, Trump administration specifically, will use AI for the benefit of the people. Now, guys, y'all about to put AI in the government, man. This government that we got right now, they're gonna test the theory. I promise you that. So this here is, I just think the government has always kind of been behind, so to speak, when it comes to, any kind of technology. I think they got like probably still antiquated computers. That's always been like one of those things that folks, always talked about. And, a big part of the government has been their inefficiency. They've stayed prehistoric. So if they're starting to move into the new world of technology, and I never understood that. I don't know, because it's so many older people in the government, they've somewhat stayed away from technology as technology has, introduced itself in a big way into everybody's, life and household. It seems like the government has always been behind when it came to technology. I think like when Obama came in, it started to switch over a little bit, but I don't know like how or if they updated all their systems. to the point where it's equivalent to what everybody else is using on a day-to-day basis. So if they're going to, incorporate Chat GPT, everybody's using it, for the most part anyway. And if government is going to be using it, I think, to have kind of an eye on it to make sure that people aren't, using it in a bad way. I don't think that's a bad thing. But I just know how many bad actors it tends to be, in the government, especially the government, that we kind of have right now, and some of the things that they've been doing. We just kind of hope that they don't take the technology and, do bad by it. But I can't be mad at them for wanting to have the updated, technology within the government, because why would we have a government that's for the people and they're behind the actual people when it comes to technology? That don't make no sense to me, so I think they should always be above board when it comes to technology. And when it comes to, something like Chat GPT or AI period, if we're going to be on it as a country, the ones who are out here, representing us as a country, I know for a fact they need to be up on it as well. I don't want them going to different places, and just because, we're still antiquated in our technology on a governmental level, they're not able to participate, or they're not able to be on the same page as these other countries who are, all over AI. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is a good, a good thing, coming from the government, or coming to the government, and companies like OpenAI understands, that of course they want to be on the forefront of the government using their technology, because of it's the government's, worldwide. So to have that business relationship is always a good thing. But I get it. If I was a company like OpenAI, I would definitely go in and try to strike up a relationship with the government. And I would not make it expensive for them on the front end, because you just benefit so much, throughout the relationship. So I see it. I get it. I'm for it. A lot of times, people be on here just talking bad about, the government. I think they have their, especially this administration, I think they have their rights to do that, because there's a lot of shenanigans going on. But at the end of the day, we have to love our country, and we also have to hope that the people who are running our country is doing, is doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. And we do have the right to criticize or give our opinion when we're seeing or feeling like those things are not happening. And when things are happening, we also have to speak up and, and bring life into to the good things and not just the bad things, right? So we'll keep our eye on that. But to me, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. So we'll keep our eye on it. All right. All right. So hold on, guys. I gotta send this. I gotta send this real quick. Just give me 1 second, guys. I got one of my employees at our independent facility needs me to send her something real quick. Okay. Just give me 1 second. That's her name. I apologize, guys, but I gotta do this. Where is she? You know how sometimes you're trying to, running a business ain't for the weak of heart. I just put it to you like that. Uh, 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 uh. So let me do this. Uh, uh, uh. All right, let me just see. What do we got? Um, Give me one more second, guys. I am almost. Okay, there she go. Okay. Uh, hmm. She will. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. My bad. My bad. So we're back. Okay. So this is da. We actually had somebody watching us, and we had to do that, and they are no longer watching us. But anyway, we'll keep it moving. So the Grio editor says White House press briefings was a missed opportunity. Keith Grainer, White House correspondent and the managing editor of politics at the Grio, said that the White House press corps missed their opportunity during Trump's press briefing yesterday when he announced he would be federalizing the city of Washington, D.C. We all knew why we were there, why we would be coming to the press conference, so we had opportunity to look up the facts ourselves. Okay. So let's talk about this for a minute. And I've always kind of had somewhat of an issue with this. um, because it's just, to me, I've never really understood the press and how they allow our government officials to just get away with murder. They There's no pushback. These political people talk to them as if they're, nothing whenever they want to. Nobody has any pushback. It's almost like they don't have knowledge or they can't think on their feet. I don't know what the issue is or what the problem is, but it's always, I see it time and time again where president or whoever might just say something slick out the mouth, put them down, talk crazy to them, and they just sit there and they don't say nothing. They get one question in, there's really no follow up. So they say whatever they're going to say, that whoever they're talking to will rebuttal. It could be the most craziest lie ever. And it's like nobody, the correspondence, the press just sit there and allow it to happen. I think why a lot of the crazy that's happening in the world is happening is because of what I'm talking about right here, right now. And it's just, I've never understood it, and it just won't change for whatever reason. It's just like, why is it looking like that? Yeah, it just, for whatever reason, it just won't change, and I don't really understand why the press is that way. I mean, it's just so much of it. The president now, the president before this president, whoever can just talk crazy, to the press, and the press asks. It's almost like they're robots. They ask one question, and then whoever answers, like even like the press secretary, she's up there just going crazy on the press all the time, just talking dead funky to them, and they just sit there and allow our country to just go unchecked. It's almost like they're all on eggshells. I don't know if because the president has the power to just kick them out or whatever the case may be. I don't understand it, but the press sucks when it comes to, asking the follow-up questions, asking or just having like feedback when they hear just a blatant out freaking lie, and they hear it so often, so much. Because if I'm sitting there thinking like he's lying or she's lying, I just know for a fact that they have to be the same way. You know what I'm saying? I've never really understood that. But uh, yeah, it's just crazy, man. So I agree with this guy over at the Grio, and I've never really understood why it's like that. The press, when it comes to holding these politicians accountable, they don't do it. They all act like some punks. It's the most craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. They will not fight back. They will not challenge. They will ask one question and get drugged in the mud, and they'll move on to the next, person, while you're sitting there looking crazy in the face because you didn't have enough. So I don't know I don't know what that's about. I wish somebody could explain that to me, why the press has always been like that, or why the press is like that. Hold up. So if, in the comments section somewhere, if you please just, let me know, like why, like why does that happen? To be honest with you, like why is the press the punks of the world? Like we can't never get nothing like for real out in the ether, because the politicians, the sports people, whatever the case may be, the press, you got a one shot, you got a one-time question to ask, and then you get smacked in the face and you gotta, go home with your tail between your legs in hopes that you'll come back and be able to get asked another question. If I was asking a question, I would be like, in their face with whatever I wanted to ask. And as soon as I hear the crazy comment, you gotta be quick on your feet and you gotta have your facts together. And it seems like nobody has their facts. I mean, this president especially just be saying some of the craziest lies ever. His administration lies, crazy lies, and nobody checks them. They just sit there and accept it. It goes out into the airwaves, and then everybody's trying to figure out, like, why is the country like, the way that it is right now? Because nobody's checking. The only person checking people is the administration. They checking and talking crazy as all get out to everybody, and ain't nobody holding them accountable. And I don't understand it. It's like they're the bullies, and everybody else is just like the wimps. The press are the wimps when it comes to the administration. The people that's on news are wimps, even like when they're interviewing people. It's something that push back a little bit every now and then, but for the most part, hey, it's nothing but blatant lying going on, and the audacity to get away with it is at an all-time high. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand. That part of it, I don't get. I think if it was and I think it's so embedded into that world where there's nothing anybody can do. It's just, it's just crazy. So anyway, I don't know if that's going to change. I've just been waiting for somebody to be a hero at some point and say something that makes sense, some kind of fight back. But it's almost like the administration, this administration, past administrations, they just knew that they had a press of just wimps, and they knew that they can just lie and say whatever they want to say, and be dismissive. However, they wanted, they could just be extremely dismissive to the press, and the press does nothing but come back and take the abuse that is given to them. So if I was the administration, I knew I had some wimps in front of me and I could say and do whatever I wanted to do, I would do it too. Shit, I would be like, man, they some punks, they ain't gonna do nothing. Say what you want to say. Whatever question they ask, just they ain't gonna fact check you in the moment. So just put out whatever facts you want to put out. Once it gets into the ether, it's going to be hard to peel it back anyway. So just say what you want to say, because ain't nobody going to check you at all. The only people that's checking is the people that's bullying. You say something to them, you ask them a question that they don't feel is a good question to them, they are checking your ASS real time in the moment and not caring about it. So I don't really understand how you can take that kind of abuse from them, but you too busy and too scared to say anything to them when you know what they're saying is nothing but lies. So I never understood that, and I'm still waiting to this day. I've been watching politics real close, and I've yet to see anybody do anything about what we're talking about right now. Everybody continues to do the same thing no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So we shall see, folks. All right, what we on? Okay. Student loans. Let's see what's up. Let me send this one thing out. I know this is just crazy, folks. I apologize, but I got to get this done for this girl. I just gotta get it done, and I hate I gotta do it, but they sprung it on me while I'm sitting here doing this, and it's nothing that I can do about it, but get it done and keep it moving. So give me 1 second. All right. So yeah, man, that's just that's all that always have been crazy to me, to be honest with you. All right, let me see. All right, so we got that there. Let's do this. All right. Mm-mm-mm. 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 I am so sorry, guys, but I gotta get this done. I just got to. All right. All right. Let's see. There we go. Uh, uh, uh. Okay. All right. Um, all right. Okay, so let's put that there. All right. We almost out of here. Okay. Let's do that there. All right. So let's. All right. Let's do this. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Let's do this. Mm. All right. Okay, now we back. No more interruptions, folks. No more interruptions. I am so sorry. Had to get that done. That's what happens when you're juggling things. Hold on, Luckily, this is our platform, so don't necessarily have to always be perfect, right, guys? Okay. So yeah, let's talk about Trump's new student loan plan. Is a debt trap warns group. The Trump administration will be launching a new student loan repayment plan in the coming months. The new option is intended to replace several um, older programs that have allowed borrowers to repay their student loans based on their income and eventually student loan forgiveness after years in repayment. But one borrower advocacy organization is warning that the new plan is akin to a debt trap. The Repayment Assistance Plan, or RAP, is being created under the big, beautiful bill that President Donald Trump signed into law in July. Here's I just don't trust them as far as I can see them, to be honest with you. But I knew once I read this, I didn't know that they were actually taking over. I didn't know they were going to have anything to do with, student loans or whatnot. But to me, I kind of feel like this is definitely something that the president, would want to get his hands on because there's so much money involved, right? There's so much money involved, so many people paying into a system where, if he could get in and just get pennies on them dollars that's going to be coming in from student debt, is to me, it would low key be almost like just I don't want to say a Ponzi scheme, but it could turn into something similar. That's kind of how I feel about it because I just don't trust them when it comes to money and, people's information. And, so I just think this is going to be a debt trap. And they just going to make it worse for people, in my opinion. I just don't trust them. I don't trust them, to be in charge of money, anything got to do because they've done. I mean, the president has so many schemes when it comes to money, fake universities, you name it. This man, he didn't drift it into, all kind of schemes and scams that left the vulnerable, just in debt traps, from the universities to that he's been sued for, from selling shoes, cologne, watches, just anything. He's just like the oil snake salesman or the used car salesman. Is kind of how it makes you feel when he introduces a product or introduces that they're going to be in charge of something. So, this, I don't like it. I think this is going to end up being, one of them situations that we'll end up regretting for sure. We'll keep our eyes on it. I'll let you know if something comes down the pipe where we need to, talk about it some more. But yeah, I don't like that one. I think that's a recipe for disaster for sure. All right, let's talk about this Texas redistricting that everybody's been talking about and what's at stake as Republicans try to pick up 5 House seats in, Congress, which is, diabolical. But anyway, so Republicans started the 119th Congress this year with the smallest majority in nearly 100 years. So currently the party has 219 to 212 majority for 4 vacancies. If those vacancies are filled, Democrats will only need to net 3 seats during the midterms in November 2026 to win back the House. House Speaker Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 3 Republicans in any vote where all members are present. The slim margin created some headaches for Johnson, and delivering Trump's sweeping tax cut and spending bill, rewriting cryptocurrency rules, and more. In a bid to defend the fragile majority or even expand it, Trump's political operations approached Texas Republicans in June about redrawing the state's congressional map ahead of the 2026 midterm election. The new map could net Republicans between 3 and 5 seats if enacted. Analysts told ABC News the proposal changes will impact districts in Austin, Dallas, and Houston, areas that have typically voted blue. The Texas redistricting effort, which is rarely done mid-decade between the census, has prompted swift pushback from the Democrats. Democratic lawmakers fled the state in protest, denying Republicans the necessary quorum to vote on enacting the new map. In response, Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, ordered the Texas Department of Public Safety to arrest Democrats and bring them back to Austin. Democratic leaders have pledged to try to counter the Texas Republican efforts with new maps of their own. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said she would try to gerrymander her state's map, but noted it was unlikely to be done before the 2026 midterms. California's Governor Gavin Newsom, too, said if Texas moved forward with the new map, then his state would respond by putting its own redistricting plan before voters this November. All right. So that's the whole redistricting. It's just, I guess both parties do it. I don't have a lot of knowledge on it, but I'm assuming both parties do this. And in this case, it's like the Texas folks are trying to gerrymander in a way where it sounds like it might be a little racist. And here's the thing, regardless of what it is, it could be racist, couldn't be right. I don't know. But the thing that I'm going to need to start seeing is Democrats fighting back. Almost made me say a bad word. Because I don't understand how the Democrats, it's like they're so quiet right now with all this ish that's going on around us. You don't hear none of the leaders saying anything. It's like they're all under their desks with their heads between their legs or something. It's crazy. You hear every now and then one of them will try to do some grandstanding. The only one I see that really be out here and be about it is Jasmine. I think that's her name. Yeah, Mrs. Crockett. She's the only one that's out here talking the talk and walking the walk. Everybody else, you don't hear nothing from no Nancy Pelosi. You don't hear nothing from no Chuck Schumer. You don't hear nothing from no. Every now and then you hear something from AOC and those guys. But for the most part, it's like this man has everybody just pumped. Like they can't do nothing. He just do what he want to do when he want to do it, say what he want to say when he want to say it. From now he locked down DC. Got the National Guard, and he's threatening to bring the National Guard into other cities. It's just ain't nobody saying nothing. Everybody just quiet. Ain't nobody trying to challenge. Ain't nobody except for Miss Crockett. Everybody's just, they just pussies. Excuse the language, but that's really what I'm seeing. It's like nobody is. Everybody talking about this, talking about the Epstein's files, and when is if the Democrats could take anything from the Republicans, it would be how to fight. It's like we don't know how to fight. Like the Democrats are like they never learned how to fight. Like their fathers, mothers, whoever like who just didn't teach their kids how to fight, and then they go to school and get bullied or beat up because they don't know the first thing about how to throw a punch, how to throw a combination. They don't know nothing. They just get beat up until they just can't take it no more, and then they just move on. And in this case, you just get beat down until the your people in your districts see that you're weak and ain't gonna do nothing, and then they get rid of your ass. So I just think a lot of getting rid of your asses should be on the drawing board this coming up election, and they just. I mean, yeah, we want to take the House. Democrats want to take the House. I mean, I like that because it keeps the presidents honest. But with this dude, I don't even think he cares. I mean, he cares to a certain degree because once the House goes, man, them investigations gonna come and all this lying and all the stuff that's been happening, he's gonna have to, be held accountable for that. And that's like the only time I kind of see like the Democrats fighting back is when they're in charge of the House and they can do investigations, and then they can do a little bit of fighting back. But outside of that, they just be, just getting their bells rung, and us as Americans, we just got to sit back and, watch them be quiet, watch them not fight, which is sickening to say the least. So yeah, this Texas thing, they got some of these congressmen there in different, I don't know where they are, but they're high now, and they're not gonna come and just give this, this, I don't know what kind of governor he is, but he seems like I don't know what he seems like. I mean, he's handicapped. Is one thing that he is, but he just seems like a bigot to me. He seems like, I mean, allegedly, I don't know, but he's you know what? No, he don't. He's a typical Republican. He does what he wants to do and says what he wants to say. And as long as nobody's going to challenge him or, test him, he's going to keep doing it. So if I was in their positions and I could just do what I want to do, say what I want to say, ain't nobody going to test me or anything, I would be doing it too. I mean, that's politics. If you got your foot on their necks, keep it on their necks. And that's exactly what the Republicans do. And Democrats, for whatever reason, for whatever reason, they like having the foot on their necks, allegedly. So, we'll keep an eye on it, but I don't, redistricting and all of that is diabolical. So, all right, let's keep it moving. All right, so BET has indefinitely suspended the Hip Hop and Soul Train Awards. So the beloved award shows have been put on pause with no clear timeline of making a return. BET's president Scott Mills shared the news during an interview with Billboard. While he didn't give a lot of details, he did say it has something to do with changing media landscapes, and the shows aren't completely gone. I would say that is less about them being no longer and more about our team having to reimagine them for this change in media landscape that we find ourselves in, Mills said. They aren't gone. The BET Hip Hop Awards have been around since 2006 and has given us countless memorable moments, some of the best spawning from the ciphers. The Soul Train Music Award has been a thing since 1987 and has been a staple for the community. So we'll see about this one. I mean, we do love the BET Music Awards. They have been a little, not the musical. We love the BET Music Awards too, but the hip hop, BET Hip Hop Awards. We've enjoyed those. They've come in a little green, so to speak. As of lately, they're people. The ciphers haven't been the ciphers like they once was back in the day. So we're going to just kind of watch that. I mean, I don't think they're going to be gone. Somebody who understands hip hop should, step in and kind of give the new owners, I think they're white. I don't know. I think whoever bought BET and MTV and all VH1, I think they were, I know Bob Johnson sold it to some Caucasians at some point. I don't know who owned the stations now, but whatever the case may be, look around, folks, and tap into your resources if you want to make these entities viable, because they're viable entities. You just gotta, look around and figure out where the talent is. Bring the talent in and allow the talent to continue to push these shows out in a very innovative way. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on it. And we'll chime back in at some point and let you know if some things change. All right, come on, BET, get it together. Hip hop is here to stay. Soul Train, one of the just what Soul Train mean to us. It was the first time we actually seen one of the first times we seen Black people on TV regularly every week. We could count on that. So to just do away with that would be a tragedy. So, but I know it's bottom line, but if you produce it the right way, you have the right talent there, you make the show exciting and fresh, then the shows won't go anywhere. They'll be here forever, like the Grammys. The Grammys, I mean, are the Grammys, but they're what are they doing that's so much better and bigger than what BET or Soul Train was doing? So yeah, I hope that the right people get this and continue to make it happen, because it deserves to still be out there for sure. All right, so let's keep it moving. All right, what? Mm-mm-mm. All right, so states can restrict what food can be purchased using food stamps. Several states, including Colorado, Louisiana, Nebraska, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Texas, and Florida, will be regulating what items SNAP EBT recipients can buy. States will ban soda and highly processed food in order to align with RFK's Jr. Make America Healthy Again campaign. According to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, these policies are intended to encourage healthier choices. U.S. taxpayers should not be paying to feed foods that the poorest kids in our country with foods that are going to give them diabetes. And then my agency ends up through Medicaid and Medicare paying for those injuries, Kennedy said Monday. But this policy will deepen existing challenges for low-income families. In today's economy, the high cost of fresh produce make nutritious food less accessible for those on tight budgets. Restricting food options will only stigmatize recipients instead of supporting healthier choices, especially when people use SNAP to stretch every dollar. Additionally, trying to monitor and enforce precise food restrictions on millions of Americans will be a logistical nightmare for the federal government. I hope to see all 50 states join this bold common sense approach. For too long, the root causes of our chronic disease epidemic has been addressed with lip service only, said the U.S. Food and Drug Commissioner Marty McCreary. Well. This is a hard one, because I get it. Processed food, sodas, and all of that is not good, for the kids, for the adults either, to be honest with you. So I'm halfway with it. I'm more than halfway with it. I just don't, how can I put it? I just don't like how, they might try to regulate this in a way where it could potentially do harm to families. And like they said, it's going to be a logistical nightmare. So I don't know if this is just lip service for now. But I think it's okay to have some of those things sometimes. So for them to just do away with it altogether is a bit much, is what I'm saying. So you kids can have a soda every now and then. Maybe, you can restrict it to, a 12 pack of soda only, or, something where you don't totally take it away, but you kind of like lessen it in a way where, you don't have to, why am I looking so like crazy? Okay, so yeah, I agree with it to a certain degree, but I think it needs to be like some kind of stipulation because it's got to be a little bit of some of that, a little bit of sodas, processed food, not so much, but I get it. People kind of do that to save money. We've lived our whole lives off of that stuff. And, a lot of people are sick. A lot of people do have diabetes and so on and so forth. So if we can cut back on that, I'm 100% for that, of course. But how we go about it, it's just something we're going to have to keep an eye on because just banning people from, having certain things has never been a good thing. But, if it's going to make us healthier, then that's why I'm like, okay, maybe, So we'll keep our eye on it and we'll let you know. All right. What is this? All right. The average man spends an extra $15,000 or more per year when in a relationship after paying for dates, helping out with bills, and funding a woman's maintenance, right? Studies show men spend thousands more each year in relationships than women. Recent research shows that men often carry the bulk of financial responsibility in relationships largely due to the long-standing gender expectation. Lending Tree's 2025 report found that men spend $15,000 per year more than women on things like dates, vacations, gifts, and special occasions. Men also tend to spend more per day, with the average American dropping over $2,000 a year just on going out. This gap in spending is often tied to traditional norms around men being providers, as well and difference in income, especially among older age groups like Gen X. While these numbers reflect national averages, individual experiences vary. Still, many people report feeling financial pressure when it comes to dating and maintaining relationships. Okay, well, I guess a good way to put it, you got to pay the cost to be the boss, and because these expectations have been set for like, decades now, where men are the providers and, women look at men as providers and, they want to keep their money in their pocket. If you got money, they want your money. They want you to spend your money on them, so this is, if you're going to be stingy or you're going to be the type who, you know, uh, I don't know, you can be in a marriage and this is happening. You can be dating one person. You still got to, you're not going to have your date or your wife, paying for everything, paying for dinners, and as men, we like to low key be romantic. So, we do things. So that costs money. I would like to see the women maybe step up and start doing a little bit more in appreciation, to all that we do as providers. But, we'll see. As a man, you got to kind of make those, you got to let your woman know, like, look, I like nice things too. I like gifts too. It ain't I think it shouldn't be on an even playing field, but I don't think it should just be men doing everything and the women just sitting back and saying, okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Women are creative as well. Just how women feel when they receive gifts, the euphoria that comes over you when that happens, same thing happens with men. So, although I get it, and I don't think this is going to change much, as time goes on. But at least, men, if you're going to be doing these things, have enough, kahunas to have a conversation with your girl and be like, look, I get it, but I like nice things too. I like gifts as well. I'm not saying you gotta just run out and constantly be, providing me with gifts, but, don't act like I can't, accept a gift from you every now and then, especially if you're a guy who's really about it, making sure that your girl understands that she's important to you and you just like making her feel good. Guys that's doing that regularly, then guys, you got to have a conversation, because what you'll end up doing, you'll end up getting burned out, and then you'll start to think, is this girl taking my kindness for a weakness? And as soon as we feel like that internally, women, is pretty much a wrap. So be careful. All right, let's keep it moving. What are we doing out here in the D, man? What y'all doing? What y'all doing out here in the D, man? Detroit man indicted after allegedly defrauding SBA for over $3 million in PPP loans. He got caught after claiming to have 50 employees but couldn't produce documents for one. Wow. Okay, so what is this cat name? Jabari Kadar Jabari Long almost got away with a multi-million-dollar federal PPP loan scam, but tripped up after failing to produce documents to support his claim of having 50 employees. Kadar, a 55-year-old Beverly Hills, Michigan, was indicted on August 5th for allegedly defrauding the SBA out of over $3 million in COVID relief loans. According to federal prosecutors, Long submitted false information to obtain paycheck protection programs and economic injury disaster loans, funds during the pandemic. He claimed his company, Priceless Preservation Construction, had 50 employees and a large payroll, but authorities say that wasn't true. Despite that, he received over $2.1 million for the business and more than $3 million total through the two programs. Long is facing charges of wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. Several unnamed co-conspirators were along with Jabari Long, and they almost got away with the $1 million federal PPP loans, but tripped up, once again after failing to submit documents, not even one document, allegedly. So, I just wanted to kind of just bring that up, because that's just that tale where, you can't really, you're not getting away with stuff like that, unfortunately. In the moment you think you are, because you living high on the hog, you're like, man, I could get a meal ticket here, 2 million, 3 million. When you ain't got none of the paperwork to suffice that. I guess they thought because it was the pandemic, they would be able to get away with it, and because it was the pandemic, nobody would check afterwards, because it was so much free money just floating around. But now all those folks who were engaged in those scams, it's coming back to bite you. So, we'll see more of this, but I bring it up just so, people can understand and know nothing's free. I mean, you're not getting, especially when you're dealing with the government, you're not getting away with it. I wouldn't even, unless you like legitimately are going after some things that you as a company can do, I wouldn't play around with it. I just wouldn't do it unless you just want to go to jail, sock away some millions. You're not going to really be able to do that because they're going to be all over your head, all over your assets, all over your bank accounts, all over folks that's close to you, bank accounts. So if you got a way to sock away money, because you're going to do some time, if you take $3 million, you're going to jail, especially from the government. So the only thing I could see would be somewhat beneficial if he was able to hide the money. But that's going to be tough to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's just better off, just legitimately getting to your money, because illegitimately trying to get to some money, especially millions, you're getting caught. It's like cheating. If you're cheating, at some point you're gonna get caught. I don't know nobody ever, including myself, that has cheated and not gotten caught. You know what I'm saying? So it's just best that you stay away from it altogether, because the benefits is going to be you getting indicted with the possibility of going to jail for longer than a minute, But in this case, you're probably looking at multiple years, so it's not worth it. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so the United States is adding 1,000 new millionaires a day thanks to the stock market. I just wanted to touch on this a little bit. The United States is experiencing an unprecedented surge in wealth creation, adding about 1,000 new millionaires every single day, according to the latest UBS Global Wealth Report. In 2024 alone, the U.S. added approximately 379,000 new millionaires, a trend driven largely by the booming stock market, rising real estate values, and strong corporate earnings. This explosive growth has continued into 2025 through market volatility, has caused short-term fluctuation in the number of high net worth individuals, with nearly 40% of the world's millionaires now calling American home. The U.S. remains the global leader in wealth concentration. Financial analysts point to technology stocks, energy sector gains, and a resilient labor market as key drivers of this trend. While economic inequality remains a major talking point, the data shows that a strong market performance is creating new wealth at record speeds, and the pace doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. So yeah, get your ass over in that stock market in some kind of capacity. Learn that game. I learned that game during COVID, and basically it was probably one of the best things I could have ever done. To learn how to, buy stock, learn how to buy options, just the whole history, crypto, everything during that time, during that whole pandemic period. My education of sitting in the house was dibbling and dabbling in the stock market, getting educated. Because when I didn't know anything. I didn't know stock. I didn't know how to buy it. I didn't know how to set up an account to buy stock. I didn't know anything about options. I was clueless. And then I just kind of, at that time, they had a lot of groups, legitimate groups that was teaching folks how to buy stocks and things of that nature. And I got in where I fit in and learned the game. So what was like Chinese arithmetic to me now. I could, read, stocks. I can, I know the ends. I'm not just super great at it, but I know enough to be lethal. I know enough to buy stock that makes sense. I know how to evaluate a stock, things of that nature. So, I mean, it's just something I've always been interested in, but just thought it was too hard and difficult to learn. And then once I learned it, I was like, it's not difficult at all. You just got to know when to buy and know when to sell. You got to know what to buy. You got to know what to hold, and you got to know what to get rid of and cash out when it's time to cash out. You got to just be smart about it, and you got to study it. It ain't just you jump in, pick a stock, and next morning you're a millionaire. Although that has happened, but even then, whoever that has happened to had to realize and know what stock to pick in order, to get those kind of gains. So this is, 1,000 millionaires a day, thanks to the stock market. That could be you. That could be me. So I would say learn as much as you can, as quick as you can when it comes to the stock market. And then that way you could get in and play the game and, get your gains as well. So that's that. We'll keep our eye on that. We'll continue to, do our investing on our own as well. But like I said, if I was you guys, I would definitely look into doing some investing. It's been here since it's created probably more. That in real estate has created probably more, millionaires, billionaires, of just average day people than anything else that's out here for you to create generational wealth. So yeah. Anyway, so that's it for our hot topics today. Hopefully, despite the kind of run-ins and me having to do some things in the middle of me trying to break this stuff down, hopefully that didn't offend anybody. I know I had some folks who was on listening intently, but that's a part of having a platform. Things could go wild. The show goes on. You just gotta adapt, and keep it moving, right? So let's talk about a couple viral mortgage and real estate hacks, and then we'll get into our deep dive. Gap funding with contract assignments. Use assignment fees for wholesaling deals to cover down payments on bigger investments. That's a good hack if you a true investor, or you're trying to become a true investor. Equity partnership through Airbnb model. Partner with property owners who can't manage short-term rentals. You manage and split profits without buying the property. That's a good one. Cross-collateralizing properties for growth. Leverage equity in one property as collateral for financing another one. No cash out required. That's a good one. Seller carryback plus bank loan combo. Negotiate seller financing for part of the price. Bank loan for the rest. Reduces your required down payment and makes the deals easier to close. Right? So that is our 4 mortgage hacks for today. And the mortgage hacks, y'all, don't take those lightly. Like I said, I do 4 every show. We've done I think 18, 19, 20 shows now. How many shows have we done? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. How many shows have we done? So this is our 24th show. So 24, what's that? What's the math on that, folks? Okay, so 24 shows. I done gave y'all almost 100 mortgage hacks. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it may not seem like a lot right now because I ain't, like I said, I ain't got no big audience. I don't got nobody. I'm looking at 0 people right now that's listening, right? Hopefully, when shorts go out, people get a little bit more familiar. Like today, and I feel a little bad because today I seen a little motion, right? But things happen, can't keep people engaged because I'm unengaged. So, that's just kind of how it be sometimes. But going forward, we'll continue to build and we'll go from there. We're gonna do our deep dive today. Let's see. Okay. All right. So we'll definitely we're gonna bring in our folks here on the deep dive. Da 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 da. We're gonna add them to the stage, and we're gonna let them do what they do, folks.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to really get under the hood of complex topics. Today, we're digging into the world of real estate investment financing, specifically what happens when, the usual banks aren't an option. And we're grounding this discussion in some materials from Gelt Financial, looking at their take on investment property mortgages. So our goal here is to unpack how these private lenders work, what makes them different, and frankly, why they might be a lifeline for certain real estate investors.
Okay, let's jump right in.
What really grabs you immediately is this promise of quick funding for real estate investors and that tagline, when your bank says no, we say yes. I mean, what does that actually mean for someone needing a loan, maybe someone in a tight spot?
Yeah, that tagline is pretty bold, isn't it? But it really sums up their whole approach. Gelt Financial, based on this, positions itself squarely as a solution for, well, let's call them out-of-the-box situations, difficult transactions.
Out of the box, like what specifically?
Think about an investor who finds a great deal, maybe needs cash fast for an auction property.
Fix. Today, we're digging into the world of real estate investment financing. Specifically, what happens when, the usual banks aren't an option. And we're grounding this discussion in some materials from Gelt Financial, looking at their take on investment property mortgages. So our goal here is to unpack how these private lenders work, what makes them different, and frankly, why they might be a lifeline for certain real estate investors. Okay, let's jump right in. What really grabbed you immediately is this promise of quick funding for real estate investors and that tagline. When your bank says no, we say yes. I mean, what does that actually mean for someone needing a loan, maybe someone in a tight spot?
Yeah, that tagline is pretty bold, isn't it? But it really sums up their whole approach. Gelt Financial, based on this, positions itself squarely as a solution for, well, let's call them out-of-the-box situations, difficult transactions.
Out of the box, like what specifically?
Think about an investor who finds a great deal, maybe needs cash fast for an auction property, or someone dealing with, say, past bankruptcy. The source mentions helping with all types of situations, foreclosure, bankruptcy, distressed assets, also those time-sensitive and storied transactions. Deals with some history or complexity.
Right, so they're stepping in where traditional lenders might see too much risk or just can't move fast enough.
Exactly. They're like a financial first responder for certain scenarios.
So how do they manage that? What's the key difference in their structure that lets them say yes when a bank with all its resources says no?
Well, a big part of it comes down to what they are. The material calls them a direct lender.
Okay.
And a private commercial non-bank mortgage lender. That's key. It means you're often dealing directly with the decision makers.
So cutting out the middlemen or the multiple approval layers.
Precisely. That direct line is crucial for speed. And maybe just as important, they emphasize that they understand credit problems. It's a very different mindset compared to a big bank's underwriting checklist, which often has zero flexibility for unique stories.
Okay, that makes sense. Speed and understanding. So building on that direct model, what are the actual tools they use? The source highlights hard money loans and bridge loans. For someone maybe not swimming in finance terms every day, what are these and why are they suited for these trickier situations?
Right, good question. So hard money loans, as they describe them, are mostly about collateral-based lending.
Meaning the property itself is the main focus.
Exactly. They're looking primarily at the asset's value, less so at your personal credit score or maybe traditional income proof. That's why they can offer things like 3 7 days closings, which is incredibly fast,
Wow.
and no minimum FICO score, no third-party appraisals in some cases. It's about the deal itself. These private money programs are really about providing uh, opportunity and rescue capital for when you need cash fast.
Okay. Opportunity and rescue. I like that framing. And what about bridge loans? How do they fit in?
Bridge loans are another tool for speed. They're designed, as the source says, to close deals faster than ever. Think of it like this. You find an amazing property, need to close in 10 days, but your long-term bank financing won't be ready for, say, 45 or 60 days.
Right. You need to bridge that gap.
Exactly. A bridge loan provides the immediate funds to secure the property. Then, you typically refinance into a more permanent, maybe lower cost loan later. It buys you time and opportunity.
Got it. And there are some other benefits mentioned that seem pretty significant for investors. Things like no income verification, these qualification and self-employment programs.
Yes, those are really important. The no income verification or programs geared towards self-employed people acknowledge that many investors don't have simple W-2 income.
Right. Income can be complex, project-based.
Absolutely. So they offer ways to qualify based on the property's potential or other factors, not just your tax returns from last year.
And interest-only terms. That seems common in this space.
It is. Interest-only payments lower your monthly outgoings during the loan term. This is especially helpful for like a fix and flip project where you plan to sell relatively quickly. You're not paying down principal, keeping more cash free for renovations or other needs before you exit the deal.
Makes sense. And loans to an LLC, that seems standard for investors, but maybe not always easy with banks.
It's crucial. Most serious investors hold properties and LLCs for liability protection. Private lenders are generally very comfortable lending directly to the LLC.
Okay, and one more mentioned non-recourse lending. That sounds important. What is that exactly?
Oh, it's very important, especially for larger or more experienced investors. Non-recourse means if the loan goes bad and the lender has to foreclose, they can only seize the property itself, the collateral for the loan.
Yeah.
They cannot come after your other personal assets.
Wow. Okay, so your personal house, savings, other investments are protected.
Exactly. It limits your personal risk exposure just to that specific deal. That's a huge factor for peace of mind and enables taking on potentially bigger projects.
So who is this really for? What kind of investors and what kind of properties are they typically funding?
The source material is pretty clear. They're targeting real estate investors across a range of property types. They list single-family investments like rentals, 1-4 unit rentals, and then commercial properties.
And commercial covers a lot of ground.
It does. They mention office, retail, multifamily, which is huge right now, self-storage, industrial buildings, even mobile home parks. So quite a broad appetite within investment real estate.
Okay. And what about their scale? The source has this Gelt Financial by numbers section. What does that tell us?
Yeah, those numbers are interesting. Almost 5 1/8 loans closed, 35 years in business since 1989. That speaks volumes about experience.
Definitely suggests they've seen a few market cycles.
Absolutely. And lending in 39 states shows significant reach. They're not just a small local shop.
365 days open also jumps out. That implies they're ready to move when deals appear, even on weekends.
That seems to be the message. Responsiveness. And the typical loan size, $50K and $2 million, defines their niche.
So not tiny personal loans, but not skyscraper financing either. More the bread and butter range for many active investors.
Precisely. That kind of $50K to $2 range covers a huge number of investment property transactions.
And it also mentions they're mortgage broker friendly and breakers are protected. What's the significance there?
It means they actively work with mortgage brokers, not just directly with borrowers. Brokers can bring them deals and get paid, suggesting they value those relationships and are integrated into the wider lending ecosystem.
Okay, so speed, experience, specific tools, it all points back to this ability to fund quickly. The source mentions rapid funding with approval often within 24 hours, sometimes same day. How is that even possible?
It really comes back to that direct lender model in their internal process. They talk about a hands-on approach from start to finish.
Less red tape again?
Exactly. Fewer layers, direct access to the people making the call. That inherently speeds everything up compared to a large bureaucratic institution. And their vast experience, having funded over 10,000 loans, plays a huge role.
How so?
Because they've likely seen deals very similar to yours many, many times. They can recognize patterns, assess risks quickly, and, as they say, quickly tell whether or not we can fund your next project.
So less time wasted for the borrower waiting for an answer that might just be no anyway.
Right. That certainty, even if the answer is ultimately no, is valuable. But their goal is obviously to find a way to say yes if the deal makes sense from their perspective.
So pulling this all together, what does this really mean for someone out there needing funding? It feels like it's more than just a loan product.
I think that's the right way to look at it. It's about tailored solutions to meet your needs. They're not trying to force every borrower into the same box. The flexibility in terms, the focus on the asset, the speed, it's about crafting a solution for a specific situation.
A situation where a traditional bank might just throw up its hands?
Often, yes. That direct access to decision makers allows them to understand the nuances and structure a loan that fits, even if it's unconventional. Now, this flexibility and speed usually come at a higher cost, higher interest rates typically.
The trade-off.
It's the trade-off. You pay a premium for the speed, the flexibility, and the ability to capitalize on opportunities you might otherwise miss entirely.
So if we boil it down, the big takeaway here seems to be that these private, non-bank lenders, like the one described, offer a really distinct alternative path. Faster, more flexible, especially when the standard bank route is blocked or just too slow.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating look at how specialized parts of the financial world create opportunities where the mainstream systems maybe fall short. It really underlines that financing isn't, a one-size-fits-all game. Understanding these different tools is pretty crucial for investors.
It really is. And that brings up a final thought for you, our listener. Where else in your life, maybe your business, maybe somewhere totally different, could thinking out of the box, finding that yes, when the standard answer is no, unlock something that seemed impossible before, something to chew on? Understanding these niche players and their flexible approach might just open up some surprising new possibilities for you.
All right, we're back. Yes. Let's remove them. Stop that. All right, folks. So that was Gelt Financial, one of the most creative lenders out there for small business loans, commercial deals, small balance commercial deals, bridge loans, and investor focused financing. They're fast guys. They understand unique borrower situations. And they fund deals most banks won't touch. They'll break down the idea, borrower profile, typical loan structure, and how they help investor close in tough markets has been their bread and butter. I'm actually doing a deal with them right now. Just got some terms back from them earlier on the deal that we were having some trouble with. Credit was a little low. Had just a small background issue from some past business dealings. So we had issues, and they came right in and made me an offer. I'm just waiting for them to send over terms so I can present it to my client. But they've helped me out in other situations, cleaning up. They're a little expensive, but the idea is just a bridge, kind of clean things up. And they're real asset based. They'll clean it up, and then you can always come back in and restructure the debt once things have been cleaned up. So great company, great people over there. Jack, Marcy, those are my people. So big ups to Gelt Financial. Anyway, that's today's, like I said earlier, guys, I apologize for a couple, this and that along the way. But if you learned something today, share it. If you disagree with something, hit the comments, of course. And then follow us at Mortgage Mayhem Podcast everywhere. And subscribe on YouTube for bonus content. I'm G Money, your humble host, reminding you in real estate, you're either making moves or you're getting moved on. Let's win together. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to these bags. And we'll, next week we'll be a little cleaner, a little bit more focused. I'll make sure that I don't have any distractions because I don't like, taken away from the audience because I could be saying something monumental in the moment while I'm trying to do other things. So once again, I apologize, and I just wish you nothing but success in everything that you do. So, until we see you the next time, nothing but well wishes and success. Goodbye. I'm out.